Hi everybody, it's Gina at the Library Mouse. Welcome back. Today is going to be a very quick little video talking about Nonfiction November. So I've never done Nonfiction November before. I do read a lot of nonfiction. I tend to keep nonfiction books more than I keep fiction books, because I use them as reference. Many, however, of my nonfiction books are the kind of book that are considered reference books. So you wouldn't just read them cover to cover, you would use them as needed. But I thought that I would go ahead and dig out some of my favorite nonfiction books that either I have started to read, or that I have just got and am excited to be reading. So if you don't know, Nonfiction November is somewhat of a book challenge started by a book Olive Fellows, and she encourages everyone to read nonfiction in the month of November. So she does have some key kind of like word prompts that are extremely broad that you can use to kind of help you narrow down your book choices, or you don't need to. You can just, if you read one nonfiction book in November, it counts. So let's get on with the books that I decided that I'm going to try to read in November. So the 4 prompt words are code, path, shot, and join. As you can see, they're very wide, very broad. So for shot, she said that could be a medical book. Oh, my camera just keeps falling. A medical book, something to do with shots. It could be something you're new at, like you're taking a shot in the dark. I've decided that I am going to keep reading Radical Remission. It's the key factors for surviving cancer. I'm almost done. I'm reading it. It's a very good book. I gave it to my husband to read, and he did start it. He's like, you really need to be in the right headspace to read this book. But I'm going to finish this book. It is by Kelly A. Turner, PhD. It's a New York Times bestseller. It talks about the healing power that everyone has within them to possibly put their cancer into remission. So this is going to be one of the books on shot. I'm also reading a book, and I'll put it up here because I cannot find my tablet. I am reading Chris Beat Cancer, also about a stage 4 cancer survivor and what he did to beat cancer. And I'm also reading How to Starve Cancer Without Starving Yourself by McClelland. Extremely scientific, interesting book. I can read and understand it in very small doses. So those are the books that I'm planning to read or are on my TBR for the word shot. So the second word is path, and it could be anything to do with outdoors, going on paths, hiking, anything about different kinds of famous roads or paths, or about you taking a different path. So I decided that I've had this book on my shelf for a very long time, and I have read bits and pieces of it, but I've never read it. It's a heady kind of book. Like it's really a book that you can't read lightly. You really need to think about it, but I think that it's a totally different path of believing, I guess, for me. So I love Dr. Wayne Dyer, Wayne W. Dyer. And this is a book called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. So basically, what this book is he's taken the verses of the Tao, which I really have no familiarity with at all, but I like him and I like the way he thinks. So I'm trying this book out. It's a totally different path for me. And what he does is, like, he'll take the verse, and he has the verse of the Tao, and then he writes his own essay about it. Like, this is living in obscurity. He has living by knowing when to stop. Living without authoritarianism. And then at the end, he has a section where it's practicing the art of it, and what you can do to do the Tao now. So, for example, in this one, Living Without Authoritarianism, it says, make time to do something you've never done before. It could be walking barefoot in the rain, taking a yoga class, speaking before a group at a Toastmasters club, etc. Recognize that you've created restrictions in yourself that keep you from new and expanding experiences, and find the time now to close your personal rule book and plunge in where you've never before wandered. Also make time to give those in your charge an opportunity to do the same, enjoying how much they accomplish with minimal or no action on your part. So I feel like there's a lot to consume in this book. So this is going to be what I'm reading for the Pathword Code. Okay, the third word was join. And join could be anything. I'm taking it as meaning a sense of community. And I found this book at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to do a Dollar Tree book haul soon, so stay tuned. But this is the book called Well. It is by Sarah Thebarge, and I would say this is about join and it's about community, because this is about a doctor, I believe. She's a Yale-trained physician assistant. She nearly died of breast cancer at the age of 27. She feels a spiritual calling, and so she heads to Africa. And she goes to Togo, which is ranked by the United Nations as the least happy country in the world to care for sick and suffering patients. So this is about her experiences as a nurse in a hospital in Africa. So I think that this will probably be a very interesting book all about community. And the last one was the word code. You could read like a coding book or something to do with electronics. I'm taking that more of breaking a code that other people have given you to live by, like maybe a societal code of conduct. And so my two books, and I've talked about them before. This one by Sharon McMahon, The Small and the Mighty, exemplifies that. It really, really talks about the women and a couple men who really went against the code of the day, or the expectation of what they would, should, or were actually allowed to do, and in their own quiet ways made huge, huge impact on the world. I think that in this day and age, that's very important to remember, that as a person who's not famous, who's not rich, who's not powerful in any way or well known, that you can still make an impact in the world. So this book is very good. And of course, I'm plowing through The Way of the Wild Soul Woman, because this is like breaking your own code of what you think, like in your head, the code that you have to live by or that society has placed on you as a woman. This book really has you diving into that, and I have not given this enough time or thought. And I mean, all of these books are very thoughtful books. There is no light fiction here. However, I do have an alternative nonfiction book that is a little bit lighter, and that book is Chase the Fun. It is written by Annie F. Downs. I found this at a little free library. It's 100 Ways to Discover Fun Right Where You Are. You know who has no trouble finding fun is this little lady right here. You never have trouble finding fun. No, or finding cats to chase, which is the fun, right? Chase the fun. So this book's just like different days to do something fun. Fall in love with your spiritual journey. Fall in love with cooking. I don't know. Hobbies that help you grieve. Hobbies that teach you something new. So it's like, it's in sections. So the first section is be an amateur, fall in love, find a hobby, chase the fun. So we will see. We'll see. So like if I was just going to do day one, because it's in day form, today's day one is chase the fun. And the question is, what was one of your favorite things to do as a kid? Maybe I should post these prompts in my community, and then people could answer them. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was play baby dolls. I loved playing house. I loved playing house. I loved playing school. I was always the teacher. My mother said I was very bossy. I was always the teacher to my younger sister and like the other kids in the neighborhood. I loved doing that. I loved finding a very quiet hidey hole kind of spot to read and not be bothered. I loved riding my bike. I loved writing. I thought I was going to be a writer. I wrote like this novel in 8th grade. I just hid myself away in my room and wrote and illustrated stories when I was a kid. And yeah, that was one thing I really, really loved. So I think I will. I'm going to post this prompt. And so down below, what was one of your favorite things to do as a kid for fun? All right, so those are some of my options for Nonfiction November. I really hate the way this camera is looking. Those are my nonfiction choices. I will catch up at the end of the month and tell you what I actually have finished, or maybe I didn't finish it, but what I've read, how I'm growing. Maybe I'll post in the community. But yeah, so if you have not heard of Nonfiction November, or if you would like more information, I will post the link below for a Book Olive's channel and the video where she talks about Nonfiction November. So happy reading. See you on the next video.